Hi, I'm Phil Constantine. On this episode of Travels with Phil, we go to Idaho-Montana border and the Lemhi Pass, where the Lewis and Clark expedition first crossed the United States continental divide. In 2003, I was in the Pacific Northwest to be one of the speakers at the Confluence of Cultures Symposium at the University of Montana in Missoula. This was part of the 200th anniversary of the Lewis and Clark expedition. Before the event, I decided to explore some of the areas covered by those intrepid explorers. In May, I found myself in Idaho. I was about halfway down the eastern side of the state at the time. Speaking of halfway, I actually passed a sign which said I was at the 45th parallel, which is halfway between the equator and the North Pole. Being a student of history, I was trying to get to the place where Meriwether Lewis, of Lewis and Clark fame, along with 3 other members of his expedition, became the first European Americans to cross the Continental Divide in the northern half of the U.S. This is a spot on the Idaho-Montana state line called Lemhi Pass. The trail they used was an old American Indian pathway through the mountains. Lemhi Pass is where Lewis had hoped to see the last range of mountains before a long, gradual slope down to the Pacific Ocean. On August 12, 1805, Lewis and 3 others reached the pass. This marked the point of departure from both the United States-controlled territory and the Missouri River watershed. Lewis wrote in his journal, 2 miles below, McNeil had exultantly stood with a foot on each side of this little rivulet and thanked his God that he had lived to bestride the mighty and heretofore deemed endless Missouri River. After refreshing ourselves, we proceeded on to the top of the dividing ridge, from which I discovered immense ranges of high mountains still to the west of us, with their tops partially covered with snow. I now descended the mountain about a quarter of a mile, which I found much steeper than on the opposite side, to a handsome, bold running creek of cold, clear water. Here I first tasted the water of the great Columbia River. Unfortunately, Lewis found the Bitterroot Mountains, which were just another range of mountains to cover in over 500 miles or 815 kilometers as the birds flew to the coast, much longer on foot. Still, they had reached the most distant fountain of the waters of the mighty Missouri, and all rivers on this side of the divide led to the Pacific. Starting just a couple of miles south of the 45th parallel and very close to where Lewis and Clark's guide Sacagawea was reported to have been born, I drove into the mountains on a 12-mile-long, 1-lane dirt road that was little more than a jeep trail. The road led up to Lemhi Pass at 7,373 feet, or 2,247 meters above sea level. At the time, it was the only usable way up to the pass from the Idaho side. Driving a rented compact car, I made it up most of the narrow road until I reached a 2-foot-high snowbank, which was blocking the way. I trudged on through the snow to the pass, and as you can see from the photos, as I reached the pass, so did a snowstorm. I stayed there for a few photos, but it was getting cold, and then I rushed back to my car, hoping not to get caught in the open in the backcountry during a snowstorm. So this is what it looks like if you're driving up to Lemhi Pass, is the actual pass itself in clear weather, not during the snow. And it has a fair number of roads up there now. It's actually easier to get there from the Montana side than it is from the Idaho side, but there are spots up there where you can reach it from both spots, and that's the pass itself right there. And so you can see there's several roads. There's a nice big rock out there that shows the elevation of it there, 7373 or 2247. And this is the pass, and this is what they were looking for. My goodness, during certain times when the flowers are blooming, it is absolutely gorgeous. And during clear weather, it's very nice up there as well. These are the mountains that Clark saw in the distance, the Bitterroots, and you can imagine how disappointing that might have been if you were hoping to see the Pacific or at least a long slope. And that road I drove on used to be a stagecoach lane. Thank you very much for watching this video. Please feel free to make comments below as long as the language is family friendly. And if you like this video, please click on the thumbs up button below. You can also subscribe to my YouTube channel by clicking on the circle with my picture in it in the lower right hand corner of the video. The arrow is pointing at it now. And once you have subscribed, you can be notified of when I have a new video posted by clicking on the bell icon in the description field below the video. Thanks again for watching.